And that's why it's all about the water. What's going on, everybody? This is the Coverbandconfidential podcast. The podcast are cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson, and this week, Dan is at the happiest place on earth again, and I needed some help. So I called my buddy John Pizz up on Long Island to come and sit in and take his place. How's it going, man?
What's up, App? How we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are things up there?
Getting cold, man. Getting cold up here in the Northeast.
I don't want to say anything. It was 70 degrees today. I don't know if that's a problem.
That sounds fantastic.
So listen, John is a longtime friend, but fairly recent joiner of the Patreon community. Do you want to tell folks the story of how you and I met?
Sure. A crazy COVID meeting, kind of like what we're doing now over a Zoom call. There was a pilot for a would-be show called So You Think You Could Shred, if I remember correctly. I may be quoting that wrong.
It was either that or like show us your... I feel like Chops was somewhere in the name.
Yeah, I remember it was a spin-off of Chopped or So You Think You Could Dance. It was like definitely a play on one of the popular reality TV shows, but geared for guitar players.
And so it was like a competition where, you know, you basically did like a little mini interview thing, and then they made you play a song, or they made you play like a solo. And so I ended up on a Zoom call with a bunch of weird folks. John was just one of them. Who else was on that call?
It was us, Jason Hook of Five Finger Death Punch fame.
Yep.
Kiki Wango of Smashing Pumpkins fame.
Which she was going to be the host for this thing.
Correct.
And then Todd Kearns from Slash's band and a couple of other groups was on there too. And John was just one of the contestants. And we got plugged in together through another guest of the show, Alex Ucksher from Orange and now Victory and literally every other company he works for. Alex has a really good knack for going, hey, you two would get along. He does that to me all the time.
Sure.
That's how I got hooked up with Mike Squires from Couch Riffs. That's how I got hooked up with you and a bunch of other folks. So it was just kind of kismet. And it was one of those things where it was just kind of like, I like your vibe. And you were kind of like, I like your vibe.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of it. And we just kind of kept in
Years
touch,
later, here we
ever
are.
since. Yeah. Look at us now, man.
That's it. Like I said, long-time listener, first-time caller, as they say.
There you go. So I brought John on for a number of reasons. One, he's a good hang, and it's always good to, you know, spend time with folks that you get along with. And he's got some really cool stuff going on in his market, and it's very different from what I'm used to. So tell us a little bit about your kind of journey into music and what your band Mean Machine does and how you do it.
Sure. So, yeah, you mentioned Mean Machine. That's the band I'm playing in pretty much full time. We're doing about 100 shows a year. So, with wives, day jobs, kids, it's a big commitment, and balancing that schedule after almost 10 years has become a good balancing act. But started doing that, I was actually the band's front of house sound guy. So I was doing sound for this band. When their guitar player left, the drummer came up to me and said, hey, do you want the gig playing guitar? You've now seen the show so many times. And I said, sure, but I want you to put my sound company on retainer too. So nice. I've now hired people to replace me at front of house, still using our PA, but I kind of get to double dip a little bit playing and still having my toe in the sound bucket.
Nice. And what kind of music do you guys play?
Man, you name it. We try, and the analogy we use is like if you're walking in an airport and you see people from all different walks of life, everyone is going to know something that we play.
Got it. And the thing that I think is really fascinating is that like your primary like place of residence in business is like all of that Northern Corridor, Jersey Shore, summer beach house, like shenanigan stuff.
You know, it's a really interesting market, specifically Long Island. Even if we exclude the city, where I live is pretty central on Long Island, and I'm extremely lucky that the furthest I have to travel is pretty much an hour in any direction at max.
Yeah, that's not us.
Yeah, and like I said, 100 shows a year within that radius. and
That's
it's
amazing.
not oversaturated.
If you want to kind of keep up with what they've got going on, Mean Machine's Instagram account is pretty wild. Just some of the stuff I've seen you guys do. The last one that really stuck out to me is you guys were on a ferry going to Fire Island.
Yes. Yeah, over here, Fire Island gigs are prevalent in the summer, but man, it is a bear of a day to do.
So what is that kind of? So how does that even work? Because it's an island. There are no roads to or from. Like, how do you get from where you are to where you need to go?
You're driving your vehicle to the ferry terminal on the south shore of Long Island. You are unloading your gear onto the ferry.
So the car doesn't go on the ferry.
The car does not go on the ferry. So you're bringing rock and roller carts and bungee straps and tying everything down. We use our subwoofers as dollies a lot of the time.
Yep.
So you flip those. Anything that has wheels, you use them. You pile stuff up and you hope for the best, strap it down real good. It gets on the ferry. Now you get off the ferry. The gig is not right there on the ferry terminal. So now you have to walk about, I'd say it's probably a half mile, give or take. You get to the venue. That one that you saw on our Instagram was probably the Davis Park Casino Bar. That's the ferry out of Patchogue. When you get to the gig, it's a great show. It's right on a huge deck, right on the ocean. It's like out of a movie, but it's up a flight of stairs to get on this deck. So to reiterate, that's onto the ferry, off of the ferry, walk to the gig, up a flight of stairs. Now you're in. You do
Painful
the
to the
gig,
bitter end.
and now you do it backwards.
Oh my God, man, that is that's something.
Yeah, and listen, we've gotten a lot of private work from that because those gigs get slammed. I think where else would you want to be on the summer on Long Island? You want to be as close to the beach as you can on a beautiful weekend day. So the crowds are great. It's just a lot of legwork. And it's funny, you'll always get friends that want to come, they want to hang, and they're like, oh, we'll help you load in. And then a couple later, and they are useless for the load out, which is when you really want the help.
That's fair. So as far as your business mix, what would you say your split is from public to private?
Probably we do more public gigs than private gigs. I would venture to say that's pretty common here on Long Island just because there's such an abundance of work. This one town that I mentioned, Patchogue, there's probably 5 venues in that one town that have bands Friday and Saturday nights. So you can pick up and be a very busy working musician here on Long Island in a very small geographic radius.
Gotcha. And you were saying kind of like city and stuff, like how often are you playing like in New York City proper then?
For us, pretty rarely. Actually, most of our work is Eastern. We have a residency in the summer on Friday nights in the Hamptons. So that kind of locks up a lot of our weekend works as well.
Have you ever been hit by Billy Joel loading out of your gigs?
Have not been hit by Billy Joel, but we have had some other celebrities. We've done venues where Eli Manning from the New York Giants was sitting there having dinner with his family. He left right as the gig started. I tried to not take that too personally, but we like to say he was there.
There you go. The whole celebrity overlap thing is always strange because it's like we are just the background in whatever they've got going on.
Right.
And but yeah, the thing that musicians really get to see the show. Like people think that we're the show, but it's totally not that. Yeah, no, they're the show.
And especially out here where, again, there's live music every Friday and Saturday night. That's also an interesting thing here is how do you differentiate yourself when it is so saturated with so many bands that, to your point, that is the show. Oh, there's a band playing in the corner? Yeah, there's one here 3 nights a week. Like, that's almost like not special that there's live music. There's live music every night. But
so what do you guys do?
We like to say that our show, we have one of the most high energy bands on Long Island. Because I always say nowadays people listen to bands with their eyes. So you need to have a visually engaging show, almost more important than being a musical virtuoso. People aren't listening for that descending diminished lick you did in Mixolydian there saying, cool, these guys look like they're having a great time. I want to have a great time too.
Now, another thing that I've really noticed through just watching your footage and stuff is that you guys are really good about playing up the venue, and because you are playing these public events that are, on the beach or whatever, like the bar kind of attention is very high priority. And I feel like, you specifically have a very interesting system for making sure that bar sales are good, not only for the audience, but also maybe for the guys on stage, maybe you specifically.
Are you talking about my banned drinks tray?
I'm talking more about your guitar collection, but I would love to hear more about both of those things.
My guitar
and I'm sure
collection.
everybody else would too.
Yeah, so I also often play a guitar that says Tito's Sprite or Grey Goose right across it, and that came from how many times does someone come up to you and go, hey man, we want to get you guys drinks. What are you guys drinking? And it's always while you're playing. People always want to talk to you mid-song while you're belting the chorus, and probably a part that's a little too high for you to sing, and it's like, oh cool, perfect time, let's have a conversation. But when it's, hey, what can I get you guys to drink? I said, you know what? I'm going to slap what I drink clean across this thing. So that way I kind of just go like that. And cool, it's worked fantastic.
That's a design that you have created yourself. That's another thing that I was really impressed with. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Cricut machine, I know it's kind of like an arts and craftsy kind of thing, like the let's make greeting cards, but I'm like, it's a vinyl cutter sticker machine. I'm like, I could probably make some cool stuff with this. No different than the machines that they make to do truck lettering. It's just smaller and meant for home. So I picked one of these up, and the thing I like about it is if you use the non-permanent, it comes off relatively easily. So if you want to change it at the end of a season or slap a venue name on it as a goof. We did one, we had a small level endorsement with an apparel brand. They were making t-shirts and sweatshirts. And the guy said, hey, can we put our brand name on the guitar? We'll pay for the guitar for you. Tell us which one you want. I was like, okay, sick. Awesome. So I got a blank white guitar, slapped his graphic across it, played it like once or twice a month, paid for it. Just thought it was a cool way to do it.
That's fantastic.
It's very NASCAR Ricky Bobby. Next, I'm going to slap Wonder across it.
Yeah, but in a way that you can't see, and it's very dangerous, but you do love it. So what about the trays?
So then the tray, we thought it was a fun idea. You know, some bands play for tips. We typically don't because of the negotiations we've worked out with the venues. We have guarantees. So I said, you know what? What's another way that we could do a tip that's beneficial for both parties? I said, I'm making a big drink tray. It says Mean Machine Band Drinks, and I put it right at the foot of the stage because now instead of us getting a cash tip, the bar gets another drink sale. We get drinks. Granted, we're probably not paying for drinks, but it helps the bar out because now that's another sale that they're making. So that seemed to work out really well for us and the bar as well.
Yeah. And we were having a conversation in the Patreon today about, specifically in our case, somebody was asking about, do you tip the sound crew? And what became very apparent is that, you know, it's different in different markets. That a lot of venues where I am, the sound crew is local that lives in the venue versus like you guys who kind of roll separately. But the conversation was around, you know, making sure that you put on a good face and have a good reputation with the bar staff and like just the people that you interact with. And so coming at the whole thing from the way that you're kind of talking through, I guarantee you means that when you guys roll up, the people who work there are going, oh, hell yeah. You know, we're going to have a good night tonight.
Right, absolutely. You know, something else that we always do, and we kind of picked this up. So my singer is a big country music fan. I've gone to Nashville a few times with him, and we have 2 country music themed bars here on Long Island, and they started doing the holler and swaller. Apparently that's a big thing down in the Nashville neck of the woods, where you hold your drink up in the air, you shout real loud, and then you take a big old drink. That's how we say it. I like it because it also gives the band a break to take a sip, because when you're going song to song to song, a lot of times you don't have a hand free. So by putting this in, We get a second to take a swig, but what it does is it gets everybody in the venue to slam their drink. Now they're done, and the bar sells another round.
That is genius.
Someone a while ago told me, being in a cover band, they said, what's the number one job? And I said, oh, to entertain the crowd. And they said, it's actually you're an alcohol salesman.
Yep.
And I said,
yeah,
that's a very good outlook. So we've kind of shifted a few things to how can we drive business at the bar?
And yeah, and the bands that are good at that are the ones that
get the phone call.
That's right. Every time that we've talked business in that, that kind of dimension, you guys are always on the front end of all that stuff. It's just like really, really good at what you do. So I feel like we're all kind of caught up. I think,
Think so?
I mean,
that brings us
if
current.
if you guys want to check out Mean Machine, you can find them on all of the things, and we'll put the John and the band socials in the show notes or in the description.
Wherever he's pointing. That's. Yep. Look at me. Look at me, Mom. I'm an influencer.
Yeah, no, I've got to figure out how to do that now in the video.
Wonderful.
So thanks a lot. But the other thing that I wanted to bring you on for is that you really got some heat on social media a couple of days ago based on something that you experienced or that you heard about in your market that I just thought it was a funny conversation, again, that you and I had that I feel like everybody else who is listening to this or watching this could probably relate to, or at least has something to say about it. So why don't you take it from there?
Sure, yeah. So it's an interesting take. So I heard about this. This didn't happen to me over this past weekend, but it has happened to me years ago, where you're playing and let's say you're contracted to do a club from 9 to 12. And here comes 11:50 and the band shows no signs of stopping. And now it's 12 and there hasn't said one more song, thank you so much for coming out. And now you're playing 2 more songs, 3 more songs, 4 more songs, and it's now turning into an additional set. And you've now gone way over the agreed upon end time. It just took me so back where I think it's extremely presumptive, if that's the word I'm looking for, that's okay. There's a number of moving parts that I feel like needed to be coordinated in order to do that effectively. And from what I heard, that's not what happened. Now, talking to other people, if the place is slammed, it's great. What does it matter? Keep going. I'm like, what about your sound crew that was agreed upon to run sound until a certain time? This certain venue had a DJ that was waiting to go on.
Oh, God.
So he was like, okay, why did I get here so early? And, you also don't know who else are you holding up.
Yeah.
Not to mention how much you've now devalued yourself if you've agreed to play for a certain price and now you're adding time.
Yeah, there's so many layers to this conversation because first off, I think the way that I kind of look at it and the way that I definitely experienced that more often was in the world of original music where, there's a set run of show and you've got a band that's supposed to play for 30, 45 minutes, and then there's going to be a 15-minute turnover, and the next band starts. And then and the opening band, the first band, the band that nobody is there to see, decides that they need to play 3 more songs than what was agreed upon.
Right.
To me, it screams inexperience. It screams a lack of maturity, professionalism. Like it reeks of amateur hour.
Screams ego.
Yep. But typically like not founded, not
Correct.
like not relevant
right.
in that scenario. It's interesting because I don't think you could get me to play longer than I was contracted, mostly because I've got overtime stipulations in my contract. So I'm going to hit my required time. And if you want more, well, then we're going to have a conversation about that.
So that was actually how I ended my little post about this. I said, there's always extenuating circumstances. We've been there where the club is slamming and a venue owner has said to us, hey, is there any way you guys can do another 45 minutes? But that is a negotiation, not an expectation. Right.
Absolutely. In the blank contract that we offer on the website, the way that we do it is that it's $150 per person per hour.
Okay.
And so that's not per player, that's per person. So that means that everybody on our crew is getting compensated for the time as well. And we've definitely had situations where they were like, rip it. And we're like, let's go.
Sure.
Not a problem. Like we are ready to. Now, granted, I feel like one time we did, and the first song we came out of the shoot with was "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," and that hi-hat pattern is a bit of a ball buster. And of course, our drummer's been playing for 3+ hours at this point, and now we have to give him a math problem. Right. When he's like barely, he's at his capacity. He was less than enthused on that one, but. In most scenarios, when people know that there's going to be $150 extra on their pay, they're good to go.
Sure, but that's been negotiated beforehand, and that's
right.
Not something where, cool, it's now late at night where you've expected to be wrapping up, and now you have to first have the conversation of, hey, is everyone cool with this? Are you cool with this? What's the number? Is your number different than my number? Like, the fact that that's coordinated in advance and an option also kind of smooths over that whole conversation on, hey, you knew that this was something, we put it in the contract, that it's a possibility that can happen.
Yeah. But so kind of circling back, though, you said that there were extenuating circumstances where this would be okay. What would you consider some of those?
Well, in that, meaning it's okay to have the negotiation, meaning I'm not going to sit here and say, no, I will never, ever go over. It is never, ever okay. I won't even have the conversation. Yeah, if someone comes up and says, we're going to double your rate tonight, we're going to keep playing. Or if I put it in a contract that says, cool, the rate is an extra $150 per person, we're going to keep going. Those are some extenuating circumstances.
Now, we've been in situations where, maybe the band started a little later and, looking at the set list that we had created for the show, where we're looking at the minutes of music being played. It's like, okay, we've got 3 more songs and we've hit our time, but we'll go ahead and just wrap up the night. And so maybe we end up 10, 15 minutes over our time, but it's typically, for us, that's kind of like a goodwill gesture. It's just like, I want my... the person who signed the check to feel like we held up our end of the agreement.
Right, and that they got value.
Right. But anything beyond that, no. We're not playing more than an encore. Otherwise, we may do one more song and then that's it.
Let's say there's the 10 minutes over or the 20 minutes over. You've now doubled the time extra. I guarantee it did not double the amount of goodwill you got.
No. I would agree with you there.
Therefore, it's not worth the return.
Yeah. And of course, in your scenario, talking about like the fact that you were literally holding people up.
Right.
Again, there was somebody there who could not do the thing that he was being hired to do because you decided that your time was more important than their time.
Right. And, now other people also couldn't leave. And it's like, now I'm stuck. And from a sound crew perspective, are you going to be that guy who just pulls the plug? That puts you in an extremely awkward situation as well. Like, do you just let this go and let it happen? Because, like, they're not working for you, the hired sound guy for the night. They're working for the venue. So you almost have to flag that down.
Yeah, and it's not fair because they're making you be the bad guy when they're the bad guys,
Yeah, so, exactly. It was just, you got a bad feeling all over. It was, like, just not handled well from any angle. And I thought it was an interesting outlook to say, we all talk about being professional and starting on time, but no one talks about the professional aspect of ending on time.
Ending on time. Yeah. And, the ramifications for this are not always immediately clear, but the fact that 2 professional musicians are talking about it on a show that is, listened to all over the planet, is probably not good for that band. And, we're not naming names, of course, because we rarely do, but I guarantee you that you know the name of that band.
I sure do.
And the sound guy knows the name of that band. And more than likely, he told that story to other sound guys at other venues in that market. And I'm sure that DJ probably said something to his DJ friends and the other venues that he plays at. And that's not a good reputation to be garnering in the places that you're trying to play.
Good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. And this scene, especially Long Island, is so small because of this small geography. Like, I'll be playing one venue. My friend's band could be playing the bar next door. Another band will be one down from that. And a lot of times you finish your set, you pop in, say, hey, as you're doing loadout, quickly you just go in, throw up a wave because it's that close. Like,
right.
I think that's one of the coolest parts about being here on Long Island is that you can like
cool.
literally zip in, see your friend's band, get back to do your own show.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. But if something happens like that, that's like not a good look, it talks really fast as well.
Yeah. So if you've ever been in that situation, just note that while it may feel good in the moment, the bad parts of that decision are probably going to outweigh the good parts, because that like ego fluffing that you're getting with this rabid crowd is short-lived, but your reputation has a long tail. And you're going to have to deal with that much longer than that little sugar rush that you got for doing it on stage, you know?
I think the moral of the story for me was kind of what you were saying is if that's something that you want to have as an option, just communicate it in advance. Like, hey,
get it right.
Cool. Here's something that may happen. If it's killing and we're going to go over, here's what that's going to look like for everyone. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and you know, if I was in that situation and I was reading the room and it's like, okay, we've got 10 minutes, I would be eyeballing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would be like, if there was a person who was free or could like hop off real quick, I would be finding whoever I needed to talk to about, okay, it's looking like we can hold the room if that's what you want. And then just kind of figure it out, because like you said, if the owner walks up, they're like, let her rip, you know, that's the decision that you make, and then you can kind of roll with it. But making those decisions in a vacuum outside of the, you know, the other factors, like the people that are waiting to go on stage or whatever, you know, whatever staff that your decision is impacting, like no bueno.
Yeah. You know, for the types of venues that we play, something else I put was you didn't rent the venue like it's Madison Square Garden. You're working for the venue. You don't know, like, what if the kitchen had to close? Like, there's other factors that you're probably not even thinking about, that even if you said this place is ripping and you went up to the owner and said, do you want us to do an extra 45? There may be a time where they go, no, because we have to let our bouncer go in 20 minutes. And if you keep going, I can't clear this place out. Like,
right.
Other factors that just aren't top of mind, that it's not your call to make.
I don't see the kitchen being a problem. Those guys are like, nope.
I was just trying to I was like, what's something that is so not top of mind to a musician that a business owner would be thinking about?
Yeah, no, they're like, nah, fam, those fryers are off. We're out of here.
Yeah.
The aprons are on the floor. We're done.
Yeah, ain't that a thing?
You gotta respect it. You know, they're there to do their job, and when it's done, it is done. They're not gonna like ask the venue owner if it's okay if they keep going.
Yeah.
Like, time's up.
Yeah, I've never even seen it. Okay, place is packed and it's ripping. Yeah, they could probably still sell more, and they're like, see ya.
Nope. But that's the thing. It's diminishing returns. Like, the amount of money, because the other thing that we haven't talked about is, like, you got to pay people overtime. You know, if it is a Saturday or a Friday, it's the end of the week. How many hours have they worked up to this point?
Right.
Like, then you're paying time and a half or whatever. So those negotiations, those equations get real complicated real fast when it's a matter of, well, okay, you know, is it worth keeping these people at time and a half for however long you feel like doing this versus the amount of money coming in? You know, most venues are operating on really thin margins, and that could eat into it. Like, they could lose money in a scenario like that very easily.
The math ain't mathin'.
Yeah. So even if you're feeling it, just don't do it without talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for real. Cool. Well, hell, John, it's been a minute. Like,
sure has,
man.
man.
I feel like it's funny because, like, the people in the Patreon community, like, I talk to you every single day. But it's like to actually like be face to face and like have a conversation is a totally different thing.
Right. Yeah. Versus the, okay, cool. I sent you a Slack today on the Patreon, and yeah, we all BS'd about it, but
yeah,
you're not getting this.
Or yeah, it's just, shit posts on,
Right.
on Instagram, DMs.
Gotta
The good stuff.
Of course. The whole reason social media exists.
Yeah. Basically, so two guys who don't know each other can interact like multiple hours a day and say, hey, we should meet up sometime, over and over until one of us dies.
Right.
That's the beauty of being an adult.
Oh, man. It's almost 2026, man. What a time to be alive.
It's crazy. Like, just now realizing that, like, hey, I've known you for 5 years. Right. From one really weird Zoom call to this.
From one really weird Zoom call to another really weird Zoom call.
I concur. So listen, man, if people want to keep up with you or what you've got going on with Mean Machine, how can they get to you?
Cool. You can check me out at John Pizz on Instagram, or the full band Mean Machine at Mean Machine Band NY.
Fantastic. John, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, anytime, any place. If you'd like to support the show, you can do some of the following, but I'll go ahead and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
I'm Long Island. I'm John Pizz.
You've been listening to the Coverbandconfidential podcast for the week of November 20... What is it?
4th
28th?
today?
28th. Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
That's it.